Millie Molly Mandy gets to know teacher. Once upon a time, there were changes at Millie Molly Mandy's school. Miss Shepherd, the headmistress, was going away, and Miss Edwards, the second teacher, was to be headmistress in her place and live in the teacher's cottage just by the school instead of coming in by the bus from the town every day. Miss Edwards was very strict and taught arithmetic and history and geography and wore high collars. Millie Molly Mandy wasn't particularly interested in the change, though she liked both Miss Shepherd and Miss Edwards quite well. But one afternoon, Miss Edwards gave her a note to her mother, and the note was to ask Millie Molly Mandy's mother would be so very good as to let Miss Edwards have a bed at the nice white cottage with a thatched roof for a night or two until Miss Edwards got her little new house straight. Father and mother and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie talked over during supper, and they thought they might manage it for a few nights. Millie Molly Mandy was very interested and tried to think what it would be like to have teachers sitting at supper with them and going to sleep in the spare room as well as teaching in school all day. And she couldn't help feeling just a little bit glad that it was only to be for a night or two. Next day, she took a note to school for teacher from mother to say yes, they would be pleased to have her. After school, Millie Molly Mandy told little friend Susan and Billy Blunt about it. And little friend Susan said, "Ooh, won't you have to behave properly? I'm glad she's not coming to us." And Billy Blunt said, "Huh, hard lines." Millie Molly Mandy was quite glad teacher was only coming to stay for a few nights. Miss Edwards arrived at the nice white cottage with the thatched roof just before supper time in the following evening. Millie Molly Mandy was looking out for her, and directly she heard the gate click. She called mother and ran and opened the front door wide so that the hall lamp could shine down the path. Teacher came out in the dark just as mother hurried from the kitchen to welcome her. Teacher thanked mother very much for having her, and she said that she felt so dusty and untidy because she had been putting up shelves in her new little cottage ever since school was over. So mother said, "Come right up to your room, Miss Edwards, and Millie Molly Mandy will bring you a jug of hot water. And then I expect you'll be glad of some supper right away." So Millie Molly Mandy ran along to the kitchen for a jug of hot water, thinking how funny it was to hear teacher's familiar voice away from school. She tapped very politely at the half-open door of the spare room. She could see teacher tidying her hair in front of the dressing table by the candlelight. And teacher smiled at her as she took the steaming jug and said, "That's kind of you, Millie Molly Mandy. This is just what I want most. What a lovely smell of hot cakes." Millie Molly Mandy smiled back, though she was quite a bit surprised that teacher should speak in that pleased, hungry sort of way. It was more the kind of way that she or little friend Susan or father or mother and grandpa or grandma or uncle or auntie might have spoken. When teacher came downstairs to the kitchen, they all sat down to supper. Teacher's place was just opposite Millie Molly Mandy, and every time she caught Millie Molly Mandy's eye, she smiled across at her. And Millie Molly Mandy smiled back and tried to remember to sit up, for she kept on almost expecting teacher to say, "Head up, Millie Molly Mandy. Keep your elbows off the desk," but she never did. They were all a little shy of teacher, just at first, but soon father and mother and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie were talking away, and teacher was talking too and laughing. She looked so she looked so different when she was laughing that Millie Molly Mandy found it quite difficult to get on with her bread and milk before it got cold. Teacher enjoyed the hot cakes and wanted to know just how mother made them. She asked a lot of questions, and mother said that she would teach teacher how to do it, so that she could make them in her own new little kitchen. Millie Molly Mandy thought how funny it would be for teacher to start having lessons. After supper, teacher asked Millie Molly Mandy if she could make little sailor girls, and when Millie Molly Mandy said no, teacher drew a little sailor girl with a sailor collar and a sailor hat and a pleated skirt on a folded piece of paper, and then she cut it out with auntie's scissors. And when she unfolded all the paper, there was a whole row of little sailor girls all holding hands. Millie Molly Mandy did like it. She thought how funny it was that she should have known teacher all the time and never known she could draw little sailor girls. Then mother said, "Now Millie Molly Mandy, it is bedtime." So Millie Molly Mandy kissed father and mother and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie and went to shake hands with teacher. But teacher said she wanted a kiss too. So they kissed each other in a quite nice and friendly way. But still Millie Molly Mandy felt when she But Millie Molly Mandy felt when she went upstairs she must get into bed extra quickly and quietly because teacher was in the house. Next morning, Millie Molly Mandy and teacher went to school together. And just as soon as they got there, teacher was just her usual self again and told Millie Molly Mandy to sit up or to get on with her work, as if she had never laughed at supper, or cut out little sailor girls, or kissed anyone good night. After school, Millie Molly Mandy showed little friend Susan and Billy Blunt the row of little sailor girls. And little friend Susan opened her eyes and said, "Just fancy teacher doing that." And and Billy Blunt folded them up carefully in the creases so that he could see how they were made, and then he grinned and gave them back. And little friend Susan and Billy Blunt didn't feel so very sorry for Millie Molly Mandy having teacher to stay then. That evening, teacher came up to the nice white cottage with the thatched roof earlier than she did the day before. And when Millie Molly Mandy came into the kitchen from taking a nice meal out to Toby the dog and giving him a good bedtime romp around the yard, what did she see but teacher with one of mother's big aprons on and her sleeves tucked up, learning how to make apple turnovers for supper? And mother was saying, always mix pastry with a light hand. And teacher was looking so interested, and she didn't seem in the least to know that she had a streak of flour down her cheek. When teacher saw Milly Molly Mandy, she said, "Come along, Milly Molly Mandy, and have a cooking lesson with me. It's such fun." So Milly Molly Mandy's mother gave her a little piece of dough, and she stood by teacher's side, rolling it out and making it into a ball again. But she was much more interested in watching teacher being taught. And teacher did everything she told, and tried so hard that her cheeks got quite pink. When the turnovers were made, there was a small piece of dough left on the board. So teacher shaped it into the most beautiful little bird, and the bird and the turnovers were all popped into the oven, together with Milly Molly Mandy's piece, which had been a pig and a cat and a teapot, but ended up a little grey loaf. When father and mother and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie and teacher and Milly Molly Mandy sat down to supper, teacher put her finger on her lips to Milly Molly Mandy when the apple turnovers came on, so that Milly Molly Mandy shouldn't tell who made them until they had been tasted. And teacher watched anxiously, and presently mother said, "How do you like these turnovers?" And everybody said they were the most delicious. And then Milly Molly Mandy couldn't wait any longer, and she called out, "Teacher made them," and everybody was so surprised. Milly Molly Mandy didn't eat the little grey brown loaf because she didn't quite fancy it. Toby the dog did though. She felt she couldn't eat the little golden brown bird because it looked really too good to be eaten just yet. So she took it to school with her next day with her. So she took it to school with her next day to share with little friend Susan and Billy Blunt. And little friend Susan said, "Isn't it pretty? Isn't teacher clever?" And Billy Blunt said, "Fancy teacher playing with dough." And little friend Susan and Billy Blunt didn't feel at all sorry for Milly Molly Mandy for having teachers to stay then. And the next day was Saturday, and teacher's furniture had come, and she was busy all day arranging it and getting the curtains and the pictures up. And Millie Molly Mandy, with little friend Susan and Billy Blunt, came in the afternoon to help. They ran up and down the stairs, and fetched hammers and nails, and held things, and made themselves very useful indeed. And at 4 o'clock, teacher sent Billy Blunt out to get some cakes from Mrs. Hubble's shop, while the others laid the table in a nice, pretty little sitting room. And they had a nice kind of picnic, with Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan sharing a cup, and Billy Blunt having a saucer for a plate, because everything wasn't unpacked yet. And they all laughed and talked, and they were as happy as anything. And when teacher said it was time to send them all off home, Milly Molly Mandy was so sorry think teacher to think teacher wasn't coming to sleep in the spare room anymore that she wanted to kiss teacher without being asked. And she actually did it too. And little friend Susan and Billy Blunt didn't look a bit surprised either. And after that, somehow, it didn't seem to matter that teacher was strict in school, for they knew that she was really just a very nice, usual sort of person inside all the time. Mm. So everybody, these are my bookmarks. I have like only 4. I used to have many. I kind of lost them. Some are being used. So this one is a cherry blossom night one. I don't know what to say. It looks very pretty. If I had to rate it out of 10, I would rate it a 9, because like 1 point should go. It's kind of like this, but it's really nice. Next one is this umbrella one. Looks very pretty, kind of simple. 8 out of 10. Lemon alien, funny. Funny little creature. 2 flying saucers. 1 star and a croissant. I'm gonna rate this 8.5. It looks funny and cute at the same time. Boho art, I did this like 10 minutes or 20 minutes ago. I was bored, so I randomly did this. So everybody, which one is your favorite? Drop it in the comment section below.
Akka, they like my